Today I'm going to show you how to be creating an amazing text effect all on PixelLab. So the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to change my size from landscape to 3x2, and then immediately I'm going to go over and change my background color to this. Look at the color code in case you want to get it. For the top layer, this is the color code up here, and then for the bottom layer, this is the color code here. Okay, so having changed my background color, the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in my color palette, the color palette I'll be using for this particular design. So this is the color palette I'll be using. So I'm just going to reduce the size, and then I'm just going to place it here and leave it like this. Then the next thing I'm going is to insert my text. So I'm going to increase the text size. For my text now, I'm going to increase the text size to 150. Then I'm going to place it at the center. Then the next thing I'm going to do now is to go over to fonts. The font I'm going to be using for this is this font, Balu by Regular. So once I have selected my font now, I'm still going to make sure it is at the center. So now that I'm very sure that it's at the center, I'm going to copy it 2 times. I've copied it the first one, I will align it to the center again, copy it the second time, and then I also align it to the center. Then I'm going to come here, I'm going to lock all of them up apart from this first layer. So this is only the first layer here. So immediately I have done that, the next thing I'm going to do now is to go to color, and then I'll go over to gradient color, and then I'm going to be creating my own color now. So for this first gradient, for the top node, I'll be using this bright red color from my color palette, this first one over here. I've selected it. Then for the down panel here, I'll be using this second color from my color palette. Then I'm going to create another color node here. I'm going to place this one at this place, and then I'm going to select this darker red for it. So having selected it, I'm going to move it slightly to the left like this. Then I'm going to create another color code here. For this one now, I'm going to be using this pale red from my color palette, this pale red here. Then having selected it like that, I'm going to drag 2 of them together to overlap so that they will form a sharp edge like this. Once they have formed that sharp edge like this, I'm going to drag this one a little bit like this. So this is the way it's going to be looking. This is exactly the way it is going to be looking. Then immediately I have done that, the next thing I'm going to do now is to go to stroke and enable. So over here now, this is my stroke. I'm going to enable it, go to gradient. I'm going to select this same color as the color of my stroke, but what I'm going to do now is that these 2 middle nodes, I'm going to delete them. So for this one now, I remove it. For this one, I will remove it. Okay, this is the way it is looking. Then I'm going to increase my stroke width to 7. So this is it now. Then after that, I'm going to immediately go over to 3D text. Then I'm going to enable. So I'm going to be selecting it for my view type to oblique. Then I'm going to increase the depth to 3. And then I'm going to go to darken. I'm going to increase this darken to 90%. Then I'm going to come down here. I'm going to increase my oblique angle to 350. Then I'm just going to go down. I'm going to off this simulate lightning. So now this is the way it is looking. So as it is like this, I'm going to come over here, lock up this first one. Then I'm going to unhide the second text, and then I'm going to select it. So the second text now is at the back. Then I'm immediately going to go over to color here. For the second text, I'm going to go over to color, and then in color, I'm just going to use normal color for this now, no more gradient. So I'm going to select this bright yellow from my color palette, this bright yellow for it, okay? So immediately I've done that, then I'm going to go over to style. Then I'm going to go over to style, I'm going to make it bold. After making it bold, then I'm going to go over to stroke now, and then in stroke here I'm going to enable it. I'm going to select the same yellow color for it, and then I'll increase the stroke width to 14. So having done that, I'm going to lock it up, and then I'm going to unlock or hide the second text. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to select that last text at the back now. Then I'm going to go over to color. For this one, I'll be using this orange color from my color palette for it. Then immediately I have done that, I'll go over to style. Then in my style, I'm going to make it bold. Then I'll go over to stroke. For stroke, I will enable it. I'll select the same orange color as the orange color I selected for the text. Then I'm going to increase the stroke width to 24. So this is the way it will be looking now. Then I'm going to go over to 3D text. Then at 3D text, I'm going to enable it, set view type to oblique, and then I'm going to set the depth to 4. And then I'm going to leave darken at 30%. Then I'm going to go to oblique angle and move it to 275. So 275, this is the way it will be looking. Then I'm going to off simulate lightning for it. Then after that, I'm going to go to shadow and I will enable it, and then I'm going to move my blur radius to 5. And then I'm going to go to offset Y, and then I'm going to move it to 6. So this is the way it is looking now. Then I'm going to come over here, I'm going to lock this last text. I'm going to select the first text again. So for this text now, I'm going to enable the shadow. I'm going to go to shadow now and enable the shadow. So after enabling shadow, I'm going to move my blur radius to 5. So this is the way it will be looking. Then I'm just simply going to move this first text slightly to the left like this, and then I'm going to bring it down a little. Then I'm going to lock it up, unlock the second text, select it, repeat the same process, move it slightly to the left a little, and then I'm going to bring it downwards a little. So this is the way it will be looking now. So immediately I have done this now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this my color palette. Then I'm going to export the image. Then I'm going to go to PixArt, and then I'm going to add my fire effects to it. So the next thing I'm going to do now, before saving it to my gallery and before going to PixArt, is that I'm going to save it as a styles here. So to do that, I'm going to click on this. I'll click on this first text, I'll go over to styles, I'll click on save, okay. Then I'll click on the second text, I'll go over to styles, I'll click on save. Then I'll go over to the third one, I'll click on styles, then I'll click on save. Then I'll align all of them again to the middle. So now this is exactly the way it is looking. Then you can now save it as a project. I'm going to save it as a project in case I want to edit it next time. And then I'm going to save it as image. From JPG I'll move it to PNG, and then from custom I'll move it to ultra, then save to gallery. So it has been saved to my gallery. So the next thing we are going to go now is to move over to PixArt.